Peter Guber, you're full of energy, enthusiasm, passion, but there's got to be stuff that worries you. You're in the content business. The content business is changing. A couple of weeks ago, a research company came out with the fact that 25% of the people on the internet are pirating illegal information or illegally pirating content. This is hitting the movie business particularly. Does this worry you, and how do you see we can rebuild the content business in the digital age?
Well, that's a really good question, a very tough question. People say, well, it's an evolution. No, wrong. It's a revolution, and revolutions can be lethal, and it has been lethal. Look at the Warner Brothers Music Company. It was a $17 billion company, and in a nanosecond it went to $1 billion. I mean, Steve Ross, who was the chairman CEO and found Time Warner, would have rolled over in his grave if he realized that. You look at Sony, which led with the Walkman, this whole portable music thing. They missed the boat completely. And what happened? MP3 ate its lunch. Steve Jobs ate its lunch. So we're in a revolution, and they're dangerous. So you have to say to yourself, what worries you is that music isn't dead, films aren't dead, reading isn't dead, stories aren't dead. The methodology that connects the artist and the audience is changing. So what you have to do is pay forward the intellectual capital and experience of you handling it. Let's look back in the past. Look at the train business. Who was better to move people and products than the people in the train business? In the entire nation. The best in the world. They knew how to move all the products and all the people. Along came the plane companies. What did they do? They fought them. They resisted them. They saw them as the enemy. They were a challenger. They were an insurgent. Kill them. What they should have done was embraced them, bought them, owned them, because they had the intellectual capital and understood both ends of that food chain. So change is an anathema to most people that are incumbents all the time. So when I look at piracy, the signal I use is, there is a revolution going on. Music is not dead, films are not dead, reading is not dead. What's dead is the model, both the economic business model and the connecting model that allows it to be an engine, a financial engine. Because truthfully, you know you're an artist. If you're not going to get paid for doing this program or get paid for writing your book, you can't feed your family, you can't feed your kids, you got to do something else. So the artist has to be rewarded. And the people that finance the artists, the companies, the banks, they've got to be rewarded or they won't finance the artists. And where does that reward come from? Somebody who consumes the benefit of that. Somebody who consumes the benefit of that. But you have to do it in a way that understands how they want to consume it, how they want to pay for it. They don't want to buy the whole album, they want to buy some individual songs. That model is being worked out in all these businesses. But the idea that music is dead or film is dead is ludicrous. Inside of us is the yearning to listen to the greatest musicians, and some local musicians, and some very user-generated musicians. And the same with visual storytelling. So I have a completely optimistic view. We may have to ride out this tsunami that's changing, but somehow the pull of that artist and the pull of that audience will find a connection. And I believe that. If I didn't believe it, I'd quit.
What would you say to people who are watching who don't feel that they should pay for content?
I would say, what job are you in? Are you in the grocery store business? You're in the grocery store. I don't think I should pay for music or films. Well, what would you think if I walked into your grocery store and loaded up my cart and walked out the door? You'd say, wait a minute, I paid for those groceries. I put my money up to get those groceries. What would you say if you were a woman in the home knitting sweaters that you were going to sell? And what would you say if you gave them to the store in consignment and the consignment guy came back and said, they were all stolen? I'm sorry, miss. What would you do? You'd either stop knitting sweaters or you'd find another way to get an economic reward for what you're doing. So the idea is the engineering of value into a product, movies, books, television, any kind of technology, even especially in today's world where it's digital, where it's O's and ones, all right, where it can be easily lifted, stolen, sequestered. That will have to change, and maybe another value be given to it between the audience. I call them the audience. I don't call them customers, and the marketplace. Here's the reason why. They'll organize that. They'll provide benefit. When they priced the songs at 99 cents, it was less problems to buy the song than to steal the song. It was better quality. Packaging them in certain ways. Creating different economic models for advertisers that buddy up to products. There'll be all kinds of new models that are going to happen in this world, really. And there'll be opportunities inside those changes. what we have to believe is the spirit of wanting to be entertained, informed, emotionalized will resist its demise, because that's how we're wired. You know, we're designed as emotional creatures. We really are. I mean, you and I remember the emotion. We don't remember the facts. Inside of it, we remember the facts. If I asked you if you were at a hotel 3 or 4 months ago, you were at a hotel 3 or 4 months ago?
Yes.
Can you remember the city?
No.
Name. Can you remember the hotel room number?
No.
Okay. Do you remember what you ate in that hotel room that day?
No.
Okay. But if you had great sex with a great stranger, or you got a call from your wife and said your son was born, or you were robbed, or you got food poisoning, you remember the hotel, the date, the food, you remember everything. Emotion bonded with information makes that information so powerful. That's memorable and actionable. It's not that the analytics and the information aren't vital. They are. But we're not wired to remember it. Unless we're Rain Man, we're not wired to remember it that way. So if you know that the Trojan horse is telling purposeful stories to ignite emotion and looking at those people not as clients and customers who try to protect their groin and their wallet when you aim at them, aim at their heart. Use that. And when you do it in telling, you open their heart up. And the story, here's the other key of this whole thing. The story doesn't even have to be your own best experience is your own story, or an observed story. But it can be from a book, a television, a movie. It's just a vehicle. It's a locomotive. Think about a locomotive and a train. There's no product in it. All it does is pull the rest of the stuff. That's all you're using it for. That cargo in there that you want that audience to get is pulled by that locomotive. But the locomotive itself is just a vehicle for you.